Hey everyone, I'm Caroline Rena, and welcome back to Awakening Soul Divinity, my new podcast. And I really am I'm enjoying myself. I love this because I get to connect with different people from different parts of the country and different parts of the world and share who they are and the work that they do in the world to awaken the human in us to heal and to raise our vibration and to bring ourselves to a point where we can actually be the change we want to see in the world. And today I have welcome, Adrienne Primrose. And Adrienne, why don't you start by telling us what kind of work you do in the world?
Yeah, awesome. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's always so fun to speak with you. So I do Gestalt coaching, and I partner with my horses to do so. So mainly, I assist women. We assist women, and we really it's about getting free enough and embracing their authenticity, and really just loving themselves again and yeah, just knowing who they are. There's so many women, especially middle-aged women, that their kids are grown, they've helped their husband in their business and his work, and then the kids are out of the house and they just okay. They don't know who they are. They don't know they know something's brewing, right? Like they could feel the brew inside their heart and inside their gut, but they don't know what that is. And so yeah, we assist them to find out what that is and to rediscover who they are.
That's wonderful. I love that. I wanted you to talk a little bit about how you do the work, I mean, the work with the horses and them before I start getting into like your story and how you came to this point. So
Yeah.
can you tell people how, like, because I've done equine therapy before and I
Mhm.
love it. I've also volunteered for a group down here called Tomorrow's Rainbow who helps children, and I think we talked about that offline, when we met, and they help children with tiny horses and to grieve. And when I volunteered, oh, we had to go through the whole cleaning out the stalls and working together with the kids and holding space for them through the grief. And it was really intense work because the kids experience things like, over the top uh,
Mhm.
uh, death in the family, like suicides and drug overdoses and things like that. But big things, big traumas, small traumas, life in general, transitions in life, all that will cause things to bubble up to the surface.
Mhm.
And especially as a woman, and I agree, I mean, it's like, now I didn't go through it the same way that you're explaining the women that you work with go through. I had my own crazy journey. However, I know that the connection with horses is like they know stuff. They're like cats. They're big cats to me. They know things and they know when they don't want to get anywhere near you and they know when you need help and they know when you're panicking. I mean, it's all there. It's all there. So, can you give an idea of how the
Yeah.
horses are kind of in charge of the work at that point and you're kind of facilitating, I guess, with the work?
Yeah, so horses are they're prey animals, right? And so everything is frequency. Everything is energy.
So
Uh,
let me ask you a question. What did you say? Prey animals?
Prey animals.
Like,
So prey animal is well, out in the wild, a cougar can get them, a bear can get them. So they're not on the top of the food chain,
gotcha.
right?
Yes, yes.
So and everything is energy. I keep saying to them, but really everything is energy. And they are able to feel,
Mhm.
hear, sense the energy. So if you come in and you have grief and you're smiling and you're saying everything's great, they're like,
Ooh,
no,
no,
I
no,
can feel that in your chest. I can feel that in your heart and quite honestly in your whole being, right? And so what they do is they do it in so many different ways. But one of the ways is they'll come over to you and either align their heart chakra with yours. So or they'll take their muzzle and they'll stick it to your chest. And what they're doing is they're actually attuning your chakra and balancing and aligning. The other thing that they do so well is they are able to open your heart. So many people literally drive on the property, they come and they sit down. There's the horse. We haven't even started. I'm not, I didn't even say hello yet. And they just start bawling. So they open you wide open, and they do it in such a gentle, loving, and embracing way.
Mhm.
People feel super safe when they're here.
Mhm.
You know, I'll hear so many times, I can't believe I'm saying this. Like I've been in therapy and I'm not knocking therapy in any way, but I've been in therapy for 30 years and she's just now getting this, and it's the horse. It's
Right,
the
right.
horse. They really just open you wide open.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things I'm curious about this, when you said well, I'm assuming energetically they'll do the heart to heart thing. When they put their muzzle to your chest, I mean, I feel like we do something similar too, like with babies, when we're connecting with babies or whatever, we're always kind of
Mhm.
doing the same thing. I wonder what's going on here that connects, that can make that connection where you're like the energy is combining. Do you know anything about that with the horses or?
Oh, scientifically, no, none of that has been proven scientifically. Scientifically, from heart math, it has been proven that horses will can connect with your heart. Their heart connects with your heart, and it slows your heartbeat right down. So that's why even if you're just standing next to a horse, you suddenly feel so much more calmer. Your breathing slows down because they're actually matching your heart frequency, your heartbeat, and they're slowing it down for you. And that has been proven by heart math.
And I love heart math. I started looking into it a while ago, and I did some of the practices that they have, and I get that. But what I'm finding interesting with you saying that, and I don't know that most people know this, is that as human beings we have the capacity to do that with each other too, like Mother Teresa holding space when she walks in a room, or Jesus. I mean, he walks in a room and everybody's like, or a yogi or whatever, anybody who has that
Mhm.
high level of self realization. And horses that have not been had anything happen to them trauma wise either, and even the ones that I find do, they still have a level of capacity to do that. I find that really interesting that works that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of my horses are rescues, and they have had very traumatic lives. I even have a once wild Mustang off the Beatty's Butte Range. And I mean, just that alone, they gather them up with helicopters and all that. But they horses as a whole, equus as a whole, their purpose is to help humanity, to raise the vibration of humanity.
That's really
That's what they want to do. That's what they're chosen to do. That is what they do.
wow.
So, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think I've been dealing with horses in one way or another since I was a kid and was at camp, and I used to want to work in the stables. I used to feel so much like when I was a kid, there were so many crazy things that happened with me at camp. This isn't about me. I'm not going to get into it, but I just remember going to the stable and learning how to brush them and clean their hooves out, all that stuff. But I do, now that you're talking about it, it's like I remember, and I never really felt, up until now that I'm talking about it, I never really felt I had a safe space to go to other than nature or
Mhm.
animals or horses. And I'm not really connected with it a lot right now. But when I was with those horses, I mean, it's like a whole different world. Literally, it's a whole different world, especially compared to the one, like I live in South Florida in the midst of a lot
Mhm.
of chaotic energy. And it's just, it's nice to be able to connect with that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. And equus, what does that mean? Share with
So donkeys, mules,
gotcha. So
horses.
It's
Mhm.
their lineup of what their not breeds, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
Hopefully
like
everybody
canine is dogs,
is
right?
dog.
But it's all different breeds of dogs. So
Okay.
yeah.
Something similar to horse.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Well, that's awesome. I love that so much. And hopefully as we go in talking about this, you'll be able to bring some examples in, of for yourself, because I'm sure I don't know if you've been working with horses your whole life or that's what drew you in or what, but that was my next question. It's did you have like a significant, or not, it doesn't even have to be significant, just a personal trauma or something that happened with you in your life that where you started looking into this stuff and started coming into it as a catalyst to start doing the work that you're doing, because most healers have that, and it's a curiosity to me to just talk about it because I think it's interesting how people come into their work.
Yeah. So the I guess I'll go back to childhood, right? So as a child, I grew up in a traditional old-fashioned Italian home. So, and if you know what that looks like, right, that's a lot of screaming and a lot of yelling and a lot of passion
Yeah.
and a lot of control.
I
And
never had that personally, but I know what you're talking about.
yeah, mostly from the men. Never real, I shouldn't say never, but not much from the women, right? So it's mostly the men. So it was my dad, and let me just take a step back for a second. He was in a um tragic car accident when he was in his, I guess, mid-20s. And he basically broke his back in many different areas of his spine. So he lived with extreme chronic pain, right? So add that on top of the traditional controlling, old-fashioned Italian man,
Okay.
right? Wowzer. So he was a very loving man, very kind, very giving. But he would scream and he would throw things and he would you know, if the drawer in the kitchen had crumbs in it, he would dump it over and just all of that.
Mhm.
Never was physically abusive to my mom, but definitely was abusive, right? Like mentally, emotionally was abusive. He, I, living through this for so long, I finally said, I'm done. I can't take this anymore. And I literally just stepped in between him and my mom, and I said, "You're not going to do this anymore. You're
Wow.
not going to speak to her like this. You're not going to."
Yeah, yeah. And I want to excuse me for the interruption, but I remember you were talking about this when we were talking before we came on, and that like boggled my mind because I've never, well, until recently, I've never been able to do something like that. It's almost like, and I think we talked about it, it's like your higher self or your guardian angel, something kicked in, something came into you to be able to get the chutzpah or
Mhm.
the cojones.
In Italian.
Something happened where you were able to step in and do that and you were how old again? Like 12, 15?
Probably 13, 14,
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
where did that come from? Do you have any idea where that came from?
No, honestly, I think I was tired of seeing the sadness in my mom. I was tired of, and I just felt like somebody needed to do something. And
She wasn't able to, right?
she just wasn't able to. So, I stepped up and I did, and it did. It took him back, it really did. It took him back for a second. And he was, don't speak to me. He really just tried to shut me down, and I was not going to shut down.
Sure.
Right. Right. And I was very respectful of it. I did not, I just held, I was very grounded. I remember I was very grounded, and I just held that space, that power space that said, here's the boundary.
Right. Wow.
No
Wow.
more. Yeah.
So throughout your life then, from that experience or from the experience of your childhood, how is it that you were, did you like feed off of that boundary into where you got to the point where you could help other women to do the same thing? Because that's a big deal to stand
Oh,
to stand up to somebody like that. I mean, that's obviously narcissistic
mhm.
from, I mean, we can go into the whole wounding thing. Like people talk
Right.
about narcissists like they're awful, terrible people. I have begun to come to the point where it's like they're not all of them are awful, terrible people. They've been wounded themselves. So, what was that healing journey like for you to move into what you're doing now for other women in that
Um,
respect? Because that's kind of an important thing, how you recreated like a sense of who you are
mhm.
through that process along the years.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, it's this I assist women and so do the horses, right? And to see that it could be different. A lot of women don't know that it could be any different or it should be any different. It's
They're
just their
used to the
way of
way it
life.
is. That's like it's a habit at that point. They're just so ingrained in it, they don't know.
It's almost fearful for them to
Right,
have it another way,
right, right.
right? And then of course it's the I'm not worthy, I'm not, I don't see a value in myself and all of this. So, all of that. So we reteach that, we relearn that.
Mhm.
So yeah.
And that's really, really important for women to understand this because I think for eons we have been in a and I don't get into the whole fighty piece of the patriarchal society and all that. I'm not fond of it, believe me, in any capacity.
Mhm.
However, for eons, in every which way, every direction, whether it's witches, past life. I really think I was a witch in a past life because I had some experience. Like, wait, what? But in every capacity throughout time, it's like the woman gets shoved to the side. Nobody, we don't want you, nothing, including, and what that did was it also destroyed Mother Earth too, in the process. And so
Mhm.
as women, we lost the connection with ourselves. We lost the connection with Mother Earth. We lost the connection with each other. And men have too. I mean, obviously they have mothers, and the mothers are a huge effect on the males, so on men. And
Mhm.
it's so important that people understand that this disconnect with them, especially with themselves, because that's the first place you're going to find it is back inside of
Mhm.
of who you are. And there's so many different ways out there to reestablish that connection. And I want to say this in reference to the horses too, because I'm in the process right now of, I don't know if you can see this black pad here. This is actually a grounding mat. So it plugs into the ground wire, and you've probably heard of earthing or whatever. I purchased a mat. I've purchased this. I've got a floor mat. I've got patches. I've got a bunch of different. I'm getting shoes now with the stuff
Mhm.
at the bottom of it because we've been living so far away from nature and so far away from the earth and so far away from animals to understand that they do. You have got to know that they have souls. I know you know that. But there's so many people that don't think they do, and it's like, oh, I don't care, whatever. But it's the and I'm going to do a little plug because this has been helping me a lot. The earthing.com is where I got these things, and I can feel a huge difference. Now I'm 60, so there's some injuries that I had when I was in my 30s. It takes a little bit longer to get to it, but it reduces connection with the horses, connection with the earth. It reduces inflammation in the body, which causes all of these illnesses and diseases and things like that. So not only are these women, or not only do people heal like the mind, when and the emotions and the trauma that goes on in the body, they heal the body, which helps to heal all that stuff because it's all connected. Heart math, it all goes back to the same thing. And when people start to realize there's a connection with all of that stuff, I feel like there's going to be like questions. People are going to be like, wait, what did you just say? That makes sense to me. So can you give your perspective with that grounding with the horses? And plus all these women, now this might be a suggestion for you because I noticed in the videos or pictures I saw, when these women come in, maybe they should take their shoes off. I mean, I know they're around the horses, as long as they're not walking around, hopefully they don't step on their feet. I know that's an issue. But in general, if they were grounded to the earth, with their feet, and then the horses were coming around. I can't even imagine what that would be like. So
Yeah.
what do you
So we can, insurance reasons, shoes have to be closed-toed and they have to wear them for insurance reasons,
okay.
right?
Okay, so clear that one out. We're not
So-
gonna
right. So please no one show up without
no
shoes
one show up without shoes. Okay, forget that one. Yeah.
on. However, I do ground the horses or the people. And if the person needs extra grounding, the horse will actually back up to them. And because that's where the root chakra is,
Right,
right? They
right.
will back up to them and rest on them. In fact, I have the Mustang actually. I don't actually even bring her in very often anymore because she has been known to back up so much and she like
Not
spits on
people.
people. Like, you know, so and she, get well, ground them, no one's in their bodies anymore,
Right,
no one's
right, right,
back to what you were
right.
saying.
I mean, we're laughing at that, but that's actually a sad statement, because that's the key here is the grounding piece of it. So that's
Mhm.
great that no, they don't understand that. It's a knowing, they get it. That's
They
just
know
who
it.
we are. Yeah, yeah. Wow. That's incredible. So what was it that led you directly? Did I ask that question already? What was it that led you directly into the work that
Hmm.
you're doing?
So you did, and I think I got off of it. Always knew I wanted a horse. Always knew I needed to have them in my life. It wasn't until after we adopted our son, um, I thought that was always the missing piece in my life, right? A little raising a little human, having a little, a child.
We
Um,
all think that.
yeah. But there was something more that I was missing.
Yeah.
So, got a horse. My first horse named Joey, off track thoroughbred. First horse name was Joey, and he I had zero horse experience. Came into my life, and he taught me how to be present. He
Mm.
taught me how to be in my body. He taught me how to be grounded. He taught me, most importantly, probably was to get out of my head.
Mm.
I am that type of person that can easily get in my head, have these agendas, have these things that I have to do, have to keep moving, right? Have to.
Get you. Yep.
I've also learned part of that was part of my healing process,
Isn't that like the hypervigilance piece from trauma, or is that what?
Yeah. Yeah, because whenever I would quiet, my body would speak.
Right. And
I would start to get emotional and, oh, no, can't do that. So let me
yeah,
get out.
yeah,
I mean, they used to call me the Energizer Bunny, because I would constantly go, 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 go.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and I thought to myself, man, this is something like I have to somehow incorporate this so that I can assist other women.
So were
And
you already a Gestalt therapist at that
oh,
point, or what were you? You were doing something completely
I
different.
was doing health coaching actually at that
Oh,
time.
okay.
So all nutrition and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
you want
So,
the whole body piece of it then. Okay. Okay.
yep. And then yeah, once he just taught me so much. They all still to this day, and it's been 10 years. They just every day I go out there and they teach me a new lesson. So it's amazing. They're
Yeah.
amazing.
Wow. Wow. So that led to when did you become a Gestalt therapist in that
So, oh God. So let me get my time frame here. I had him probably for a few years. I've been practicing 5 years maybe now. So I took her first program, Touched by a Horse is where I went, Melissa Pierce. So I took her first program, and then I took her second program. So the first one was Equine Gestalt therapy, and then the second one was a master gestaltist. So I took both of those.
Okay. And you know what? Because I really am interested in connecting people all over the place. And, when you mention somebody like that, it's a good referral type of thing. I'm probably going to add, if you have the link for her or I could even put it in there, but I can put it in the description because if there's anybody out there who wants to do something similar, they can reach out,
Yes,
to her as
absolutely.
well. Maybe I can even do an interview with her.
Absolutely. Oh, she'd like that. Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. In that process, so you became, wait a minute, you became a therapist, and at what point did you start integrating, or was it part of that process by going to get trained by her? It was all already part of that process.
It's part of the process.
It
Yeah.
wasn't an
Hmm.
integration where you saw like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing this and this works well together, and now I want to bring them together. It wasn't like that.
No, no. Mm-mm.
So you've been doing that for five.
Five, 5-ish years. Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
okay. And can you give us a story, one of your favorite stories maybe that you've encountered with the horses and one of your clients?
There's so many.
So well, maybe one that affected you the most, that helped
Yeah.
you.
So you want to know something funny.
Yes, I
When
do.
I do the work,
Uh-huh.
when I do the work, there are a lot of times I don't remember.
Of course, I get that. I understand.
Right. And I sometimes, they'll even say I'll be doing the work and, I'll say something and they're like, can you repeat that? I
Yeah.
can't even repeat it
No.
because it's coming from a higher self or a higher
Right,
source,
right,
right?
right. And hold that thought because I'm just explaining what this is because I do that too. It's like when you're in the middle and you're connected, and the horses are doing it, but they're not human. They don't have to think about it. When you're in the middle of a session with a client, for me, my one of my main gifts is writing. So I hear words. So people will be talking and they'll say word, and then all of a sudden I get the same thing, and I start, and all this information comes out for them, and they're just sitting there like, oh, I didn't. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, and
Mhm.
it's a form of channeling. I don't know specifically what kind. I think it's channeling. That just makes sense to me to use that word. I think that's what's happening in that space of channeling or whatever the word is. We're so present that we don't even know what's happening. It's coming through. It's by grace, it's by divine
Hmm.
message, whatever that is, and all of us can do it, right? But when we're aware of it, we also realize that even that doesn't matter, that it's coming through because, or what came through, because it has actually helped the person. And sometimes what we say doesn't even matter. It's the energy of the download, or the energy of the horse's download, or whatever that is. That energy is what creates the healing piece of it. But in this case, I'm if you have a memory of something, maybe because this happens to me a lot. It's like if I'm working through something, somehow the connection with the person that I'm working with is also similar to what I'm working with. So when I bring that information down, I'm like, oh, maybe I needed to hear that, and that became a time where I could remember it. And that's
Hmm.
kind of what I'm looking for with you. If you had some kind of that experience like that, that's pretty cool.
So not that I've connected yet. So I'll say this. There has been, because horses work with energy and frequency,
Right.
they have assisted. So I had a woman come. Actually, it was for a meditation. It wasn't even for a Gestalt healing session. But she now I didn't know this, right? But my horse walked over to her and literally took a huge dump at her feet. Right now,
Oh
uh,
no.
so you see that face that you just made? I was like,
Oh,
what in the world? Like, and she was like, oh, so she had her little
letting
comments or
go.
whatever. I'm like, dude, you had this entire area that you could have took a dump and you decided to take it in front of her. And I, so later on, I said, I'm so sorry. I apologize, whatever. So later on, she emails me and she said, I want you to know. She said, I just went home and I had the biggest bowel movement of pretty much my life. She said, I hadn't gone in like, it was a really long time. Like, for some reason, 3 weeks is like coming to my head, but that sounds like really long. She said, whatever he did, it worked. So I'm like, okay. And I get stories like this. So, another one, another girl, client, she came and she had all these bracelets, like crystal bracelets on. And I said, my horse went over to her and he's like pulling on her bracelets, like literally pulling on her bracelets. And of course I walked over and I stopped him. I was like, you can't do that. And she said, please don't stop him. And she said, these are all and she was a musher or is a musher. And do you know what that is?
No.
So they dog sled.
Dog sledding. Okay.
Dog sled. And so she has all these huskies. Well, every bracelet represented a husky that had crossed over.
Mm.
And she said it was like he was telling me to just take these off and let it go. Like to, so I mean, just so many things. I mean, I wouldn't say found because the person already knew that she had breast cancer, but another one put her head over a client and put her head right on the breast that had the breast cancer. They're really just, even we were doing a piece of work around family and family dynamic and they would come, a horse came over and literally knocked the chair over, like this one, you don't need to, whatever the message was. I mean, the client knew the message, and off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact message, but yeah, like you don't need to worry about that anymore. We were doing parts of self, and the horse literally took my client like this and walked her, and we were doing it with like hula hoops, and I had hula hoops around and for each part of self, and she tossed them, and so it's an experiential type healing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
She she pulled my client with her teeth, and my client at first was like pushing her back. I said, no, 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 like let's see where she's going with this.
Right, right.
Kind of like took her and like bopped her into this like one part of self that like she was a good, not that they're bad or good, but just that this is where you need to live. This is what needs to keep coming up for you. This part of self needs to keep showing up for you. Just magnificent.
God, wow. Yeah, those are great stories. I love that. That's why I asked them, because I knew knew we were going to get some pretty cool ones out of that. For you, do you throughout your life, throughout your own healing journey, did you experience what people call like a profound spiritual awakening or transformation, or was it just kind of all through the process? Like sometimes I mean, I hear people all the time talking about this, profound awakening and all this stuff. And I'm still, I'm curious. I'd like to see what that means, but because for me, it's been an ongoing thing since I was 27, so I'm curious to see.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's been an ongoing thing
Yes,
as well.
okay. Okay.
There are many of things that my clients will say that was profound, and sometimes they don't even realize it in the moment.
Uh-huh.
They realize it later on.
Yes.
Um,
3 days later for me, usually. That's what I get.
right, right. Yeah, I'll always get an email or a phone call or whatever. Oh my, just so
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, you hear it, but I think it's a bunch of profound. It's almost like you're climbing, then you hit a plateau, then you're climbing and you hit a plateau. I think it's all these profound moments in life
Yeah.
that,
That
will.
that makes sense to me. I like how you said the climbing in the plateau, because mine is when you're going up a mountain and you're always coming back to the same spot. So
Mhm,
sometimes you repeat something, but you're not in the same space in yourself. So it's a
mhm.
different, even though it feels like it's the same thing, it's a different opportunity. And the more you climb, you're coming at a different perspective, and you keep going and you keep going. It's not it, but you're always going up. And you notice the spiral in mine. I have, my big thing is a spiral and a butterfly. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because that's just how healing works, and that's how life works. That's how human works. It's always spiral. But it's interesting that when you're aware, when you're awakened, when you start to awaken, when you realize these things, that you can place yourself in a position to be doing it that way rather than going the other way. You know what I mean? I mean, instead of falling into the hole, like I've fallen into enough holes, I'm done. I can't, hopeful. Yeah, let's just cancel
Yeah.
Cleveland. I'm not going to do that. It's like, it took a lot. I'm stubborn. I'm analytical. I'm stubborn. I'm resistant. I've got all these things going on. Well, maybe not anymore. I'm still learning some. In the learning process, I'm noticing that each thing, like you're saying, just kind of becomes transformed, integrated, transformed. Next, this kind of thing. In that, though, for you, Can you explain to everyone who's watching how if how you can become aware of yourself so you can awaken? What can people do to start to create this space for themselves to awaken? I mean, I think that's an important concept.
Mhm. So honestly, it's presence.
Mm.
Being present is so, so important. And being, so many people, they don't like to be because they feel like they're being lazy. I mean, society has taught us that,
Right,
right? You have to
right.
keep moving, keep working, keep this. And if not, you're lazy, right? But really slowing things down,
Oh, yes. Yes.
being in the moment, no matter if that moment is sad, if it's full of grief, if it's full of depression, if it's full of joy, right? Whatever you're feeling,
Mhm.
feel it and be with it. And don't judge yourself for it, just explore it, explore it,
Mhm.
let it flow. You're not going to cry for the rest of your life,
No, for me,
you're
it was
not
like
going to,
6 minutes on my biggest one. So,
which really in the grand scheme of things isn't that long.
right, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. But it's a
feels
discovery,
forever.
a constant. That's I guess that's why I call it self-discovery. But can you explain? Now I know how to do this for myself, but can you explain to people what you mean or how they can like get present? Because sometimes, like when your body takes over, it shoots you into the future, it shoots you into the past. And it's like I'm in it, I'm in it, I'm in it. How do I get present? What does that look like?
So really though, being in your body and feeling what your body is sharing with you is being in the moment,
Right,
right?
right.
So I like to ask people to ground themselves. I like to, and so that looks like how I do it and how I teach it is you can close your eyes if you can. I mean, some people like to do this while they're driving. So
Don't close your eyes.
don't close your eyes.
Close your eyes.
Um, but picture your feet just really getting heavy. And I like to say, like you're on a beach, when the water washes up and your feet just
Yeah.
sink down a little bit.
Yep.
So imagine that. Imagine your feet growing roots deep into the earth.
Mm.
Grounding yourself like a tree and really just breathing into your belly. A lot of people, myself included, for years, I couldn't get the breath past my chest,
Right.
right? So I feel everything in my heart. That is my spot. So until I cleared a lot of that,
Hmm.
I couldn't get that breath into my belly.
Right. Right.
So really just breathing. And, important thing too is that if your mind starts to go, just address it. Ask it to go and sit on a hammock eating bonbons, ask it to go and ride a horse,
Right.
whatever it is.
Right. Right.
Because if you don't address it and you keep fighting it and you keep just go, it's just going to keep showing up.
Absolutely. 100%. One of the things that I've used for my own as a tool, well, it kind of links together. I learned this a while ago. It's like I'm sad and I'm okay because in this moment, we are actually okay. We may feel sad, but if we tell ourselves that out loud, do it out loud so you can hear it and just say, I am sad and I'm okay. I'm angry and I'm okay. I'm heartbroken and I'm okay in this moment because nothing sticks. The point behind our emotions are for them to kind of flow through, but we're so locked up in our chakras that the energy can't flow through. So for you to just allow that feeling to just, as much as it doesn't feel good, I'll give you that, just allowing, just picturing your energy centers or whatever opening up and I'm okay, I'm okay, or put your hands on your heart and close your eyes and picture your inner child or look at a picture of yourself when you were little. It's okay, everything's okay, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And one other one that I did a while ago that really helped me was to get present. I would like start touching myself like it was oh okay, so I'm here, or I would start to listen to the noises in the room, or I'd
Yeah.
start just looking around and seeing them, so using your senses to
Yeah.
bring yourself back into your body, because what happens when you're freaking out about something is you are not in your body, you're going off into the future or the past or whatever, and you can it's difficult at best to come back from that easily, like especially for someone. When I was going through it, I would dissociate, I was dysregulated constantly. I finally, through that presence, learned how to regulate myself without needing somebody there to help to be my regulator, and hopefully everybody knows what that means. I mean, there's so many things that you can do to ground yourself. Go stand on the grass, easy.
Really?
Go
Yeah.
outside, go sit on a tree, become a tree hugger. Sorry.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Really though?
yeah,
Really?
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. Or if you're around horses, go touch a horse or go near it, or not touch it because it might not want you to do it in that moment, whatever. But there's just so many different things that you can do to ground yourself. And, you know, everything works differently for everybody else. So it's important that you find the thing that works for you. Does that?
For sure. And just to double back on one of the things you said about the senses, so I also like to have them go externally. So what do you hear?
Right.
What are the things you hear around you? Okay, what does your spine feel like? What do you smell?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What does your heart feel like? Feel into your heart. So I like to
Coming in.
external and
Yes, yes, yes. That's good. I like that. I like that.
yeah,
That's,
yeah,
yeah,
another way.
awesome. Okay. Can you describe a couple of strategies that you've used on your own healing journey, that tools besides the presence? Or do you have any other tools that, especially for like empaths and highly sensitive people, we seem to be extra, reactive somehow to things because it hits. We, like, highly sensitive people feel things so deeply. So if you're going to feel something, it's going to feel, so do you have anything you can share with that sort of thing for?
So yeah. So for me, a couple of things. I always protect myself.
Hmm.
I always put myself in a bubble of titanium. Always put myself
Titanium?
titanium.
That's a new one. I usually hear white light. Now you're saying titanium. Okay.
So I do titanium and then I put the light in.
Okay.
So I put the white light, I put red light, like if I whatever color is coming to me,
Yeah.
I put that in there with me. And
Gotcha. That's cool. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So I do that.
Mhm.
And you have your own little spiel that you say, and what angels you're calling in and all of that. And I remember that it's not mine to hold.
Mm.
It's not, I'm actually doing that other person a disjustice by taking that in. This
Yes.
is theirs. They need to feel it. They need to process it. They need to work through it. This is their journey.
And a lot of empaths have this thing where, oh, well, I have to, and I've done it. I'm sure
Mhm.
you've done it. It's like, I'm responsible. I've got to take care of everybody else's energies. And if they're sad, I have to take care of them. And, all this stuff. And it's like, no, you don't. You've got
Yeah.
to figure out your own. That's enough. You don't, and especially for empaths and highly sensitives have been traumatized. That's a whole nother level of making sure that you heal yourself before you decide you're going to help somebody else. It's almost the putting the mask on the airplane thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's people talk about that all the time because it's true. You can't take care of anybody else if you don't take care of yourself. Period.
Right. And you get burnt out. People will get burnt out. So many people will say to me, how do you do this? How do you not I don't take it in. I do not take it in. I clear myself. And if I feel like I'm taking it in or something, I come home and I feel a little extra like tired that day, I just clear myself,
Yeah. Yeah.
clear myself of it. The horses don't take it in, and you just learn from them. Whatever it is that you need to do to not take it in and to let it go, you just need to do that. So yeah.
That's interesting. It just popped in my head. You reminded me of another tool that someone gave me a while ago. You don't have to catch every ball.
Mhm.
So imagine somebody who you don't want to do this, even though you feel obligated. They're throwing a ball to you or at you or whatever, and you just go and you
Mhm.
let it drop.
Mhm.
It's just you can do it in your imagination because hopefully they're not throwing like a hard ball or something. But
Let it drop.
let it drop. Don't catch the ball. You don't have to. It's not, you're not obligated. No matter what our society has trained us, that we are obligated to make sure everyone else is helped and, whatever, you still have to take care of yourself. You still have to do that, because if you don't have the centering and the energy, if you don't sleep and go back out and take care of, and I have to bring this in obviously because it's going on at this point right now, even though this video won't come out for a couple of weeks. But with everything going on with the rescuers and all these people who are up in North Carolina and Virginia and South Carolina, all these people who are taking care of other people at night after a full day of doing this stuff, they go home and they take care of, or not home, but they go to wherever they're at and they take care of themselves. They eat, they sleep,
Hopefully.
what do they call it when they do a uh at the end of the day review kind of thing where
Oh, like a decompress, like a not decompress, but
I thought it, ugh, I was in the army for 8 years. I can't think what it is. Anyway, they do it where everybody gets to talk about what happened during the day, and they talk it out so they don't have to hold it in their bodies. They do these things now to help these first responders and the police and all these people, because they know what this stuff does. So you've got to do that for yourself too. Just because you're not in the middle of something as big as this is, and if you're taking all that stuff in emotionally and energetically, you still need to do that.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I've been doing something I discovered called empath grieving. Yay. And it's a thing. I looked it up online. I'm like, really? Can we not? But, everything that's been going on, I have been crying for the last 5 days consistently. And it's like, and I'm down here and I'm crying and doing all these tools and everything and coming back up and then back down again. And, so it is a thing. So if that's happening with you too, that's another reason to center yourself or bring yourself into the present, or, whatever you have to do. Eating helps, sleeping helps.
Sleeping, eating, and the other thing is really get out into nature. I
Oh,
mean, that's another thing. I mean, I have horses. I go out there every single day.
right.
I mean, getting out into nature, whatever capacity that looks like for you. If you live in a townhome, go to the little courtyard that they have and just be out there. Go to a
Yeah.
local park, whatever it is, just
Yeah.
be in nature. It is so important.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
necessary.
And we can't emphasize that. I'm pretty sure I can speak for you, but we can't emphasize that more, because because of what we were talking about earlier, we're so separate, and that adds to the problem with not feeling grounded and not feeling, we're always tired and we're always, all these things are going on. It's so, so, so important to do that. So I'm going to ask you some questions that I ask everybody, that I've been asking everybody, and I think they're pretty cool because it's helping me to understand too. The first question I have is, what does awakening mean to you at this time on the planet?
Ooh, that's good. So we are all awakening. First time probably in history ever, ever, ever that the planet has, been around. I mean, humans are being forced to look at things. We are being forced to deal with things. Um, we have no choice but to awaken. And the universe is pushing us to do that. For me, it's about coming back home to yourself,
Yes, yes,
right?
that's beautiful. I mean, that's the thing with that is, if we don't come home to ourselves, and if we keep being out there, our energy is out there, we have no sense of stability, we have no sense of center, we have no sense of the truth of who we are. I talk about that a lot. So that's so important. So thank you for that. So the next question is, what is soul divinity to you?
Oh, never thought of that one.
I have to incorporate the name of the podcast in here because I want people to think about it. That's like huge to me.
Soul divinity. Well, we all have a soul,
Mhm.
and we come from the divine. So for me, we're all one. So for me, we're all one anyway. I would say that we're all one.
Yeah,
We're all one, and we all come from the divine.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
That's good. And it's just it's almost like listening to everybody tell me this, it's becoming like we're coming back to our soul divinity through the awakening,
Mhm.
and it's that's where I see this as. So it is, it's being one and being connected with the divine and all that, because that's who we are,
Mhm.
even though
Mhm.
we've been told something different. Okay, what is God or source to you, or whatever you call that being?
All of us. I mean, I am very aware that there is a higher power, there is a God, right? There is source, but I believe we all are.
Yeah.
We're all part of that. And I'm going to say him, right? Because that's for some reason, that's what I see. And I am very,
Experience.
oh, what's that?
That's how you experience.
Right. And I am aware that there's a balance, right? There's really no him when you're in soul or spirit or source. There is the masculine and feminine. There's a complete 100% balance. Yeah, I believe there's this balance and of energies, and we are all that.
I love that. We are all that.
Mhm.
And a bag
Mhm.
of chips.
That's right.
That's a little going back in the day, but whatever. Okay, next question is, what is unconditional love to you?
Mm. What I will say is that humans, there aren't many beings on the planet that can have an unconditional love. Not horses, not, and I hold horses at a very high standard. I mean, they are as godly as they come.
Right.
But there are always conditions to love, right? Mother, child, the only one that I believe that can be unconditional is source, is God. I think it would be pretty. I would love to see us flow into a more loving. We are coming into a more loving space,
Mhm.
energy of this world, right? That is the part of the awakening, right? Is
Yes,
that,
yes, yes. I'm glad you pulled that for me. Yeah.
yeah, that is what it is
Yeah.
awakening into love,
Yeah.
more love, more love. Maybe it's the day, I don't know that, but the whole unconditional love thing, I mean, as much as I would say I love everyone and I'm non-judgmental and I'm not, it is not the 100% truth, right?
Right.
I'm human. I'm human. That's why I'm human.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. But that to me is why we're here on this planet, is to learn, to awaken, to learn about unconditional love. And it all starts with us, the
For
self.
sure.
Yeah. Because if we don't self love, how is it that we're going to share that love with other people and create that unconditional love? Got to find it in our, and you talked about forgiving yourself and, all these different things. We treat ourselves worse than everyone else does.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, as much as we get upset about how other people treat us, we treat ourselves worse.
Yeah.
So until we love ourselves unconditionally,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's huge. So thank you for that. How can people get in touch with you so they know what you're doing?
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. So my website is Blissful Existence Healing Acres.
Awesome.
They can also reach out to me. And do you believe, because we're in the cell phone world, I don't even know my own phone number.
Sure. Yeah,
But
they
I've
have
got it.
time, right?
We do. And I just looked it up. So for the sake of me looking it up and saying it, I'll say it now. It's they can always call me at 570-420-7599. And
Okay.
I do work via Zoom. Obviously the horse wouldn't be present,
Sit on
although
your shoulder.
yeah, although I do go up to the horses and we'll do Zoom as long as it's not raining or freezing, snowing or whatever.
Right.
I do take the call from the pasture, so that people can see the horses in the background
That's
or,
cool. That's so cool. We were
hey,
gonna try that today, but it turns out that it is freezing and it
yeah,
is not a good day to do that. And this is the website's .com.
it is .com.
It's
Yes.
.com. And where are you located?
So East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania.
Okay,
So
that explains the freezing. Okay.
yeah, so northeast PA, close, right over the border of New Jersey and New York. We're kind of centrally located actually to Philadelphia and New York.
The last question I have is there anything else that you'd like to add to share with people, from your heart or whatever before we go? I just want to give you your own opportunity to.
I really just want to share with people that you're not alone, right? You have the strength. You are valuable. You are worth it. And to to seek out whomever you need to seek out, whether it's me or you or whomever whoever else you interview or just anyone, just reach out and there's someone there that can help you. And know that you're all love. You're love. You're love, you're love, and you're loved. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. I got my empath tears happening.
Mhm.
I got empath grief, empath tears. Oh my God. Thank you for that. And you are love. Okay. Well, wow. Thank you so, so much for coming on with me. I really, really appreciate you and the work that you're doing. And, that's the whole point behind all of this is to bring people together to help with people who need the guidance and the love, help them stop feeling alone and to heal and, all that stuff. It's just important right now. So thank you so much for
Thank you.
doing all of that. And I think that should do it. All right.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Say again.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. All right. So thank you everyone for watching. I'm so grateful for you too. And I hope you got something out of this. I'm sure you did. And that should do it. Have a beautiful, beautiful day or night wherever you are. And that's about it. Bye.